it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
What's up, guys? My name is Brendan, and the trick of the week this week is the cheat gainer. Today, I'll be going over how you can learn the cheat gainer, the technique behind the swing, the many different axes you can do a gainer on, 3 gainer variations, and finally, my 3 biggest tips if you want to get a good, clean cheat gainer. So with that said, let's get started. First, I want to talk to you guys about how you can learn the cheat gainer. And the progression is pretty easy to understand. You start with the macaco. The macaco is a trick from capoeira, and it's really important for building your kinesthetic awareness. Your kinesthetic awareness is your sense of where you are in 3D space. And the macaco is pretty similar to the cheat gainer in that it's an off-axis backwards flipping technique. The nice thing about the macaco, though, is it's very low risk. You can drill a whole bunch to really build that awareness without putting your body at extreme risk. After you get the macaco, you move to the swing macaco. It's just like the macaco, but instead of starting in a squatting position, you start in an eagle, and then you swing from that eagle into your set, which you then lean back and roll into a macaco. Guys, if you can do a swing macaco very smoothly, it's a great way to build the technique behind the swing without throwing your body at the ground. And once you get a good swing macaco, you can just remove one hand and transition it into a touchdown gainer. And guys, the more you practice your touchdown gainer, the more you're simulating doing the cheat gainer itself. And one of the best ways to safely progress to the cheat gainer is to just slowly remove that hand as you're doing the touchdown gainer. And the more you can remove it, the closer you'll get to the cheat gainer itself until you're able to just do it without your hands at all. This progression is very slow and very safe. But guys, remember, train at your own risk and take your time. Second, I want to talk to you guys about the technique behind the swing. And it's the same if you're doing a cheat gainer or a cork or a bunch of other variations. You start in that eagle position, arching your back, bringing your arms back, your swing leg up, and your plant leg beneath you strong and stable. You then move from that swing position and set for whatever the next trick is. For your cheat gainer, you're just going to be dragging that leg in front, kicking between your shoulder and your ear as you swing your arms and jump with that plant leg. Guys, the swing technique is very similar if you go to the cheat gainer or to the cork or even to the double or triple cork. It's very similar as you move up the line of progression. So guys, keep that in mind that if you get a good cheat gainer, you're practicing the swing towards your cork. And the swing is all about those 2 big important body positions, the eagle and the set. And remember, as you transition between them, you need to be jumping off that plant leg. But guys, that's the technique behind the swing. Next, I want to talk to you guys about your flipping axis. And it'll be different depending on how you're doing your cheat gainer. You can do a cheat gainer very inverted by spotting the ground right behind you and really arching your back straight over your head. Or you can do a cheat gainer very flat, almost the same inversion of a butterfly kick, by spotting way over your shoulder and kicking your leg to the side. Guys, keep in mind that when you do the cheat gainer, you're not always gonna want the same level of inversion. You might want a more vertical cheat gainer for some variations, like the gainer switch, or you will want a more horizontal cheat gainer for maybe more kicking variations like the moon kick. Regardless of which you're doing, it's really important to understand how you build that axis. And it comes to your spotting and the angle at which you swing. If you spot directly behind you and swing straight overhead, you're gonna get a more inverted cheat gainer than if you spot over your shoulder and swing to the side. But guys, keep in mind, both are very useful. Just keep in mind that when you're doing your cheat gainer, you need to be thinking about what axis you want to flip across. Next, I want to talk to you guys about 3 important cheat gainer variations. And guys, I mentioned 2 earlier. The first is the gainer switch. You do a super inverted cheat gainer, and then you switch at the hip to land in the same eagle position that you started. The gainer switch is really good for building that swing technique, and it's a great conditioning exercise for building strength in your plant leg and the muscles for the swing itself. The second is the moon kick, or the gainer hook. You do a more off-axis cheat gainer, and then you turn your hips over to execute a massive hook kick, kicking right across your target and rechambering at the knee. Guys, when you do a gainer hook, keep in mind that it's not the same inversion as the gainer switch. You want to be more off-axis and kick more across your target than for the gainer switch, where you're just kicking straight overhead. The third variation is the stall gainer. And the stall gainer is really important for understanding the timing of the swing and how you can then change it up if you want to twist for the cork or just throw a body position like the stall. I really recommend that athletes learn the stall gainer, 1, because it's a really cool trick, and 2, because you really understand the timing of the set and the swing. Guys, if you can learn those 3 variations, you will have a really good cheat gainer. Plus, you'll have 3 more tricks you can throw at the session, or you can spice into your combos. Finally, I want to give you guys 3 tips on how you can throw a better cheat gainer. And the first tip is to swing your arms and legs in tandem. You want to make sure your timing is the same with your arms and your legs. You want to move them as one unit as you go from the eagle to the set. You don't want your arms to go first and then your leg to follow, or your leg to go and then your arms to follow. You want them all to work as one as you do the swing. The second tip is to jump as your leg is swinging up. You want to make sure you're timing that jump from your plant leg with the swing from your swing leg. You want to make sure you're not jumping while your leg is way back here, because then you're just not going to get the flip you need and you're going to go right into the ground. Tip number 3 is to spot after you leave the ground. Don't spot early right over your shoulder as you're doing the swing. Jump and then look to spot your landing. If you rush it, it makes the technique look very sloppy, and no one wants that. You want a nice clean cheat gainer with a nice arch, so you want to be spotting after you leave the ground. That said, as you're learning the cheat gainer, it might be really beneficial to spot early and to maybe just look at the ground the whole time. If you want a good cheat gainer, I recommend spotting after, but if you're learning or progressing towards it, it's fine to just spot early and then slowly build to the later spot. Guys, before I go, I just want to say, if you want to support mastering tricking, one of the best things you can do is to go to the link in the description and check out the Mastering Tricking Patreon. That's where you guys can donate towards the creation of Mastering Tricking. And if we hit our goal of 50 patrons, I will be kicking the death out of these 2 piñatas with the best tricks I can. Not only that, guys, but I want to show you a little bit more of what I'm going to do to those piñatas. Guys, I don't talk about it that often, but I am pretty well trained in a bunch of different weapons. Now, I never did sport martial arts, so they're not show weapons. They're practical weapons, like the butterfly knife. And I would love to show off my weapon skills by dismantling those two piñatas. And guys, please, you can make that happen by going to my Patreon and signing up. Plus, you get some awesome rewards along the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to suggest next week's trick of the week, please leave it in the comments down below. But thank you so much and have a lovely day.